So, guys, when the clock hit 0-0 in Norman, what were your initial thoughts? Does it feel like 98, Josh?
No, I wouldn't say it feels like 98, man. I would say it feels a lot like 22 right now. 98, like it's really hard to unpack how that season felt. Obviously, I saw it through a completely different lens, being a 10-year-old kid. But I will say excitement and vibes are probably at an all-time high. Maybe since 98. But right now, I'm still kind of apprehensive. Oklahoma didn't blow me away from a talent perspective. It was a great experience. It was a really cool time. Me and Andrew got to bro it out this weekend and, have a lot of adult beverages. I think we hit the over. It was pretty close to the over on the beer consumption or alcohol consumption. Not to brag, if you have a problem with alcohol, please go see someone. But for the spirit of enjoying a nice SEC road game, I think the appropriate amount was consumed. So for all the listeners out there that was worried about that from last week, I think we took care of business. But yeah, great vibes. Very excited to see where this team continues to go in 2024. Defense played a really great game. There wasn't as many offensive fireworks. And Josh Heupel's went on record since the end of the game, talking about how he kind of took the air of the ball and slowed things down offensively because our defense was playing so great. And when you look at it, just from a holistic view of our defense, you had the safety, you had the interception. And I think up until like the fourth quarter, they had like maybe 40 yards total rushing. So hats off to our defense. And from my point of view, vibes are high. Andrew, to you, man, what was your takeaway? We had pretty good perch to watch that game Saturday, man. Are you excited? And what's your vibes? You feeling like 98 or a little bit different?
I don't know what it feels like to be a Tennessee football fan in 1998. So I'm going to skip that question, but it feels very similar to right after the LSU game. I'll just leave it at that to summarize, and we'll dive into a little bit more details about the trip, the cool things or the traditions that Oklahoma has, and so on in a little bit. Naveen, back to you.
Okay, on today's episode, we're going to dive deeper into the Oklahoma game. We're going to do a little bit of a big game preview for the SEC matchup of the week, Georgia and Tennessee. Talk about winners and losers from week 4. We'll give a little bit of a recap on how our bets went. We'll give you new bets for week 5. I can't believe it's already week 5 of the NCAF season. And we'll do a little bit of NFL quickfire. So, guys, let's dig a little bit deeper on how the Oklahoma game went. Andy, could you describe a little bit more about the trip? Like, what were the pregame festivities like? What's Norman like as a SEC town? Would you go back? Those kind of things.
Yeah, so we ended up flying into Dallas and driving up, just due to the fact that there are way more flights to Dallas, giving us a little bit more freedom as to, when we can arrive, when we can leave, rather than the limited number of flights or the direct flights that Norman offers. So it was very interesting. We were just driving through Texas, wide lane highways into Oklahoma. And we start to see very reservations everywhere, big wind turbines, which we did not expect that, and especially right next to Texas. Mm-hmm. Fun fact: 40% of Oklahoma's energy comes from those turbines that we passed. So we thought that was pretty cool. Second largest wind turbines in the world. And then once we get into Norman, it's a completely different town. So that's like a little bit different than say like a Knoxville or a Gainesville, where I feel like, the surrounding areas have like the nicer suburbs. And perhaps this is our ignorance because we didn't really venture out from Norman up to Oklahoma City, and then might be I'd imagine that could be where the nicer suburbs are. But for the most part, where we went, just kind of like middle of nowhere, nothing, and then boom, Norman. It just looks like a really nice college town. I'm not gonna deny they're very like a lot of brick buildings, very clean, a lot of space, a lot of green spaces, a lot of trees. So that we thought that was really cool, and the way they have it set up is really awesome. You know, I would put that like in just infrastructure wise, definitely ahead of Florida or Louisiana. I would put it on par with Athens, but it may be even better than Athens. I really thought the
Oh, for sure. I
very
agree.
like
I
easy
agree.
to follow. Like if you want to stay out with the college kids, north of the stadium. If you want to enjoy a little bit more restaurant focused or like a little bit more chill bars where you could go grab beer, little for like the 30 somethings and the 40 somethings of the world, stay to the east of the stadium. All of the Fred houses are on the west of the stadium, and the tailgating happens, right next to the stadium. So I thought that was like a very ideal setup logistically. Also, plenty of Ubers and other options. I mean, obviously, right after the game ends, it's impossible to get one. But generally speaking, and it turns out Norman is only about 20-minute drive away from Oklahoma City. So I think there's some element of just having a bigger city right next to it. So that was really cool. And then I would say like a moment that sticks out from tailgating is, I think we alluded to that a little bit, but we about passes to the season ticket holder tailgating, and it's a track field right next to the stadium. So here's a stadium, here's the statue of the Heisman winners, and here's a track field, all within like a 2-minute walking distance. Not even, maybe like a 150 yards max. So very right next to the stadium, and they converted the entire track field into a massive tailgate. We ended up paying like $25 each on StubHub, but it was a great time. It was all you can drink, all you can eat, barbecues, the typical from like a pulled pork and brisket sandwich to burgers, hot dogs, any kind of snacks. They had a line for like a wine option, for those that prefer to drink wine. They had, and obviously all the beers, ranch water type of things. They had like a separate liquor booth. If you wanted to get liquor, obviously all comes with the ticket. And then the cheerleaders and the band came out, did a little like a pep rally. So we thought it was just like a very interesting way to experience the tailgating. Also, just logistically very nice. It almost reminded me of our time at LSU, where we were just right across from the stadium, and then boom, once we were done, we were inside within like 10 minutes. So
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds really organized. How'd you guys deal with the Texas Heat, Josh, or the Oklahoma Heat?
we did not deal with it.
I
we
mean,
chose not to go to game day.
yeah, I mean, it was definitely no heat to be in for a couple of close to middle-aged guys. Yeah, we're not as young as we once was, but there's a story I think we'll get into a little bit later on, in reference to being young or being old. But with the Heat, man, it was gonna take a toll, because I swear to God, I think Norman, Oklahoma is on the surface of the sun, because it was a scorcher. I think even at kickoff, it was like 94 degrees. When the sun went down, and the sun was setting at kickoff, when the sun went down, it was still really muggy, really hot. We had a lot of folks around us on the struggle bus. One in particular, we had a guy, bless his heart, he passed out on his girlfriend, and his arm, his drunk passed out arm kind of kept like falling up against my shoulder a little bit, and I mean, first time, it happens to the best of them. The girlfriend was a good sport about it, much better than I would have been, because I would have probably drug his ass out of the stadium and gotten the first Uber I could. Ain't no way under that heat. And they were Oklahoma fans.
Okay.
That I'm sitting there watching my team just get curb stomped like Oklahoma was, and then just have some big drunk passed out oaf just laying on me all hot and sweaty. Wasn't going to happen. So, shout out to her, solid girlfriend, material there.
Yeah, lock that up.
Lock that up, bro. I don't know.
If
I don't know your
finds
name.
you.
Yeah, if it finds you, you better put a ring on that thing, man. Because most women, they probably would have had their fill around the second quarter. So, but yeah, heat, no joke. Glad we hydrated. We mixed in a few cups of water with all the alcohol that was consumed. But yeah, man, I think overall, outside of the heat, not too bad. We had a really nice Airbnb. I can't complain about the hospitality and the comfort that we had with that Airbnb, man. It was very very spacious, all the amenities that you could ask for, which was kind of night and day difference from some of the other Airbnbs that we've had in the past. I didn't have to worry about mashing any cockroaches, when I got out of bed, so it was a good experience with that. So, shout out to that. We had a huge ass moose head, a couple deer heads mounted, a few ducks. So the guy that we got the Airbnb from was clearly an outdoorsman. I guess that's a thing to do out there. But yeah, this moose, it totally fucked. It was huge as shit. And, man, nice place. But great AC. So we stayed in, we watched College Game Day from the comfort of that house in the shadow of that moose head. And, we watched the 3:00 games, and we probably piddled around and got out there around 4:30, really started turning up the tailgate festivities. And we came across a lot of good Oklahoma fans, man. I'll tell you.
Great welcoming environment.
Yeah.
There was no, we'll get into that in a little bit, maybe like one exception, but there's no, everybody else was just so welcoming, which was very different from like when we went to Georgia or like a Florida.
Yeah, there was no grown men, barking in my face. There was no, petulant Gator fans, Gator chomping nonstop.
Yeah.
So, all of them very, very kind, very welcoming, very hospitable. Again, can't say enough about the Oklahoma fans. Again, with the there is an exception. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit, but yeah, man, great weekend overall. Especially we haven't even talked about the football game that much, but the football game itself being the outlier. I mean, definitely, everything, was great, with obviously the football game topping the list.
Yeah. Cool. So walk me through a little bit about what you thought, the team did well, what you wish they could have done better, just a quick summary.
I mean, I think that we saw, I think probably one of Josh Heupel's best coached games, from the aspect of he didn't want to force the issue, because offense, we didn't need to force it there. The defense was just playing so well, and he knew. I mean, you just think about it. I mean, we had Keenan Peely, Tyree West, Aaron Carter, doing a great job. I think Keenan Peely led all defenders with 5 or 4.5 tackles. I mean, you had the interception there from, our secondary. I mean, you can't ask, for a better defensive line that we had. I mean, we were swapping guys in and out. Again, the defense just showed up time and time again. Every time Oklahoma got a turnover from us, I mean, we turned the ball over on offense a couple times, but it was like the first play back, on defense. We got
That's
the ball
what I was
back.
gonna. That was what I was gonna bring up. I was like, how does it feel, guys, to fumble then immediately refumble?
Yeah,
because that was fucking amazing. I don't know if I've seen that.
Twice in our,
couldn't believe it. Honestly,
I couldn't either. I was like, you've got it. So it was the fumble there at the. I mean, we gave it to him like on the 3-yard line, on our 3-yard line, and then Jackson Arnold fumbled. We recover. Then we had the turnover with the strip sack on Nico. Left tackles being out, that was kind of a big, I guess, blind spot. Haha, all pun intended for our team this week, especially for Nico. But just riddled with injury on the offensive line. But you have that turnover, then you go into the backwards pass from Jackson Arnold. Is recovered by the defense. You can't make it up. You had 2 disaster plays that could have really changed the momentum. And I was talking to Andrew about this during the game. I told him, I said, man, Oklahoma cannot seize momentum because every single time that you thought it shifted to them, Tennessee's defense stepped up again and then made a play. So right place, right time.
A lot of so we watched the Washington State game the night before. For those of you who watched, went to OT. The first possession, San Jose State throws a pick. And then all Washington State had to do is just, move the ball up a little bit, kick the field goal. But, they go for it and they get a pick. So, the first OT ends in a 0-0. I looked at, our other friends and I said, this is like a peak college football. And we somehow witnessed 2 more peak college football, happening after live in the same weekend. Just, turnover, immediate first play, turnover back. So that was definitely amazing. The stadium died for sure. All you could hear is the Tennessee Fight song, and then by the time our band tried to play Rocket Top, you just all of a sudden hear like a rap song or something to drown out the band.
Yeah, that was really annoying. Because I mean, to me, that's part of the pageantry of the SEC. Even at home games at Tennessee, we go as far as during the opening ceremony, before we do the opening of the tee, we play the opposing team's fight song, right? For the other team.
Respect. Yeah.
Out of respect. So, I didn't take it as kind of a disrespect thing from Oklahoma per se. It was a little tacky. I say let the bands play. But I know they felt some type of way because we talked about the football game, but Tennessee traveled and we traveled bigly. There was a ton of orange. Oklahoma fans couldn't imagine. They just couldn't imagine on what planet that many Tennessee fans would show up to that game. Like
everybody we talked to said,
blew their mind.
It's the first time they've ever seen a stadium, getting taken over. So that tells you.
Well, we owed him some payback from.
We did.
2015,
2015. Jesus Christ. That's what, 9 years in the making, right?
9 years.
This background is from that game, so it's ingrained in my memory.
Yeah, but some things to answer your question though, some things I would like to see better though. I think Nico, when he had opportunities, he threw some good. He threw darts out there especially that one touchdown to I think it was
Thornton,
Dante Thornton. That was just on a rope. Perfect route, hinge stride, perfect throw. Really, I think that kind of shifted the momentum when we went up there.
Like 3 seconds before the quarter ended.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Brew McCoy had, he had some big catches, because Brew, I think led us in receiving with 4 catches, around 100 yards, I think, on receiving, just maybe a little bit under that. But then you had Dante had the 2 catches. Obviously, the big one, I think, for 60 yards or something like that. That was the touchdown from Nico. But I guess really more consistent play from our offensive line, and I would really like to see someone kind of separate themselves as the number one wide out, like the number one target for Nico. I think we're still playing wide receiver by committee right now, whereas a couple years ago when we had Jalen Hyatt, we knew that was our thoroughbred wide receiver out there on the end, and he torched Alabama for those 5 touchdowns. He's Blitnikoff winner. Those opportunities exist in Josh Heupel's offense, especially with a good quarterback play like we're going to have with Nico. Unfortunately, it's just a perfect storm of the defense playing well and kind of the game within the game that Josh was playing against Oklahoma. He knows Brett Venables and he knows what he's going to get and what he's not. So at the end of the game, you even hear him. I don't know if you guys saw the video kind of going around the Twitter spheres and all the social medias, but Josh even told Nico, hey man, I took the air out of the ball the second half, basically, we'll get you back next time. Did you see those clips, Naveen?
Yeah, I did. He said he held back a little bit in the second half. I kind of saw that watching. Got some, kind of threats to the spread at the end. With,
Yeah, backdoor. Yeah,
little knocking,
Yeah.
at the back door. But
Yeah.
we persevered through that. Andy,
Last thing on that, Naveen, I will say, the thing that I did like, just kind of put a bow on this, is that we saw, I think, kind of the maturation process of Josh Heupel, where he is now kind of taking what the other team will give him. Whereas we've seen in years past where he'd still want to continue to push the offense, and then that would have potentially gotten us in trouble. This game against Oklahoma reminded me of when Tennessee went on the road, number 1 versus number 2 Georgia, and what Kirby was able to do to us. It looked exactly the same. I know it was almost the same score. The game kind of played out the same way. It was a rock fight for the longest time. And it was about a 10-point game both ways. So reminded me a lot of that. And you know what they say, good teams win, great teams what?
Cover.
They cover, baby.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because in the past I haven't been as confident in Josh Heupel in being able to control the clock. And now with Dylan Sampson's evolution, I think that's a little bit more under control, in the sense that he's confident enough to like, okay, let's get 5 and 6 yards instead of running our hyper fast offense. There's different ways to win the game now, which just makes it easier to win more different types of games.
Yeah, and Dylan Sampson, obviously, he carried the rock, I think, the most. I think he had nearly 100. It might have been a little bit under that. I don't know that we had a 100-yard rusher, but hats off to Deshaun Bishop, man. He had a lot of solid runs throughout the game. And Deshaun Bishop has kind of came out of nowhere. Like I think he was projected like our 3rd or 4th running back coming out of spring and into summer camp, and now he's I think almost solidified himself as that number 2 back when Dylan needs a breather.
Cool. So Andy, what is it like seeing Nico live? Seeing him on the screen is just amazing, but is there anything else you pick up from Nico live from this game?
Obviously with the injuries to the starting O-line, I think there was a lot of things that he could have shown, and I'm sure based on Josh Heupel's comment, it certainly seems like they didn't open up the full playbook or just keep the foot on the gas. So, we'll see. Obviously, like initially, it felt like he was running for his life a lot, which was true. They got a lot of pressure.
He was, he definitely was.
I thought the composure was, pretty amazing for a. Right. I know he's a redshirt freshman, but still, like a first start in a night game, SEC away game. Quality opponent. Like Oklahoma is not a bad football team,
and they have a good defense. You can say what they want offensively. Yeah, their run fits, the way that their linebacker play. I mean, it was outstanding. They had a great defensive front. We talked about it in the show last week, and me and Andy talked about it. While we were at the game a little bit and before the game. Choosing your poison against Josh Heupel. And I'll tell you, even with a light box in a lot of those situations where they're only having 5 defenders in the box in defending out on the perimeter with their ends and their linebackers and DBs, they made a hard choice, but I'm telling you, they were very disciplined on their defensive line, and linebacker play was phenomenal. So can't take anything away from Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, they pretty much got Heupel to score, or Heupel in the offense to score half their average, right? They were averaging basically.
Yes.
They were averaging a burger, and they made it a slider, I guess. 25 points given up. So that's pretty difficult to do.
But to your point about Nico, and I think kind of what Andrew was talking about there too, and Andrew, I'll let you close it out on Nico, but I just think we saw some real maturity on Nico's part. I think he gave he took what the defense gave him, and he didn't try. He kind of went into game management mode when I think he understood what his coach was doing. Would you agree? Would you buy that for $1, Andrew? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, unbelievable composure there. And I don't know if that's because, even though this is his first start. I mean, he's been with the team all of last year. He started in the bowl game, and he was even with the team, the bowl game prior, because he joined the he early enrolled, right? So he could practice with the team during the Orange Bowl and the prep period. So I think while it was his first true like road start, I guess he just had that experience of like understanding what the environment's gonna be like, how loud the crowd's gonna be and all that, and be able to take that. So that was very promising. That's not something that we've done well in the last few years, as Josh loved to point out. Our record against SEC road opponents on the road hasn't been good. I always say like that's because we've been dog shit. But and I think
it's
that's
also hard
true.
It's also hard to win on the road, man. And the SEC,
it's hard to win on the road.
Don't discount that. And I know a lot of that comes off as coach speak in a lot of ways.
Right.
But I would never say discount an SEC road win.
Right, and we just showed that we can actually win in a different way by holding the other team from running us all over. So again, like I think the coach finally has the team that he wants. Ideally, like he has an offense that he can just press the gas, and let's say if we're like down 2 touchdowns, like I have no doubts that this team is able to score something, cook up something real quick. But when we're up 2 touchdowns, we can also protect the lead, and I like seeing that.
Let's put it in perspective here, man. Oklahoma had 222 total yards, 186 passing, and 36 yards rushing. Like, where does that happen at? Like, I don't think any of the three of us can remember a Tennessee defense that was that elite. Because, I mean, let's be honest. You have to be elite to be able to hold a team like that 36 yards.
Yeah. So last one on this topic is anything we're concerned about, right? We're fucking crushing. There's no doubt about it, right? But I don't want to get my hopes up, or I don't want to be too high as a Tennessee fan, because water tends to find its level for us. Maybe not this year, maybe next year it'll find its level. But anything, question to both of you, anything you're concerned about?
Go ahead, Andy. I'll let you take that first.
Bill Belichick, I think, said this once. It's a lot easier to climb to the top than stay on top and fend off the others. And I think, Tennessee's had the phenomenal run a couple years ago, and then we fell apart, right? I think it kind of like perfectly shows, how difficult it is to just kind of like, especially in college football, margins are very thin. And I don't mean like margins are thin like like how you see in like a golf or tennis game of inches, but more so the like you can't have like a bad day, because one bad day can take you out of a contention. And I know we're in a 12-team playoff, but still, like you can't have bad day, for example, like Notre Dame did, right? So I think that's gonna be important, especially with a lot of like attention. Like the national media is just talking about Tennessee a lot more than ever, because of like, oh, they're a complete team. They have defense, they have offense. Also, like the games are like I noticed that Arkansas game is gonna be a night game, right? So we're now in that
prime time, baby,
prime time spot. As much as we like it. Yeah, as much as we like, for attending the night game for like the temperature and the vibe reasons, same thing for the opponents, right? Like they would love to play Tennessee at night rather than a 12 p.m. game. Like I'm sure LSU would have loved to have a night game versus us a couple of years ago, and South Carolina did get the night game against us. So did Georgia. So again, like I would say like just staying on top takes a different kind of mentality, and just need to stay focused week in, week out. I think the bye week is perfect after the tough out SEC road game. Just kind of like rest up, get healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Because I honestly think that Arkansas, if we would have had to play them this week, would have been the biggest trap game ever. Because we're looking ahead to Florida. Like there's no doubt in my mind the Gators are on the Vols' mind. Even though we're going into this open week, I still have some reservations about Florida, but I think the open week prior to Arkansas, I think it really it helps the Vols kind of remain focused. And because I'll be honest with you, I think Arkansas is a better team than Oklahoma. So if you think, I don't think we're just going to waltz right into fucking Fayetteville, Arkansas, and just go in there and show up and expect them to roll over. That's just not going to happen. Sam Pittman's going to have them calling the hogs. They're going to be ready. They're going to be salivating. And to be honest with you, Tennessee doesn't have a good track record at Fayetteville, especially at night. The last one I watched, we went down there and they kicked our ass something to the tune of like 51-10 or something like that. So it wasn't pretty. We don't have a solid record on the road. Even under Josh Heupel, I think he just hit the 7-7 mark. I think he's 500 now on the road at Tennessee. But again, to our point, Arkansas on the road, night game. It's hard to win on the SEC on the road, man. So I think perfect timing for an off week. Things that kind of concern me, and we'll close out. Man, it's an offensive line, that left tackle, man. Dane Davis ain't gonna get us to where we want to be against Georgia. Dane Davis isn't gonna get us to where we want to be against Alabama. So, Coach Ellerby, we got to do better. It's not Dane Davis's fault. He's trying his ass off, but he only has the capabilities that he was blessed with from our divine creator. So he's stretching his maximum effort here to the max. So we got to get Waffle House, and we got to get Zay Lance Hurd. Yeah, that's his name. Good old Lance Hurd. We got to get Lance Hurd healthy. Sorry, I had a brain fart there, guys. But yeah, Lance Hurd, he's going to be the linchpin to our success to protect our quarterback and hopefully our season. So.
All right. Well, I think it's speaking of the bye week, which is incredibly important for us to kind of retool, regroup. Hopefully our O-line get healthy. Give them some time to recover. We can kind of like rest easy, on our couch and watch the premier game of this week, which is Georgia, Alabama. Of course, just because Tennessee is not playing doesn't mean Locky Top is not at work. Locky Top. Here we are focused on delivering you guys, incredibly profitable picks. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the obvious one that catches our eyes are Georgia versus Alabama. It's a top 5 matchup. Really I'd like to ask you, Naveen, of the, what you're thinking about the matchup here. Obviously, arguably the biggest game for the new coach, DeBoer, right? Just getting Georgia there. We all know Nick Saban's track record against Georgia, but, Nick Saban isn't walking through that door anymore. So are you expecting a Kirby stomp, or do you think DeBoer pulls this one, stays undefeated, stays ranked number 1 all the way until they make it to Rocky Top?
I actually think Alabama's going to win this game. I know that might not be a popular pick on this podcast. But,
it's not, but we'll let you have it.
I will say that Kalen DeBoer is a very good coach. He is like a 90% winner. His record versus the ranked teams is also amazing. I know Georgia is a different animal, but this one's at home. Bama. They don't have the extreme athletes that they usually do on defense, but they do on offense. Like they have a standout wide receiver, Ryan Williams, who's fucking 17 years old. He crushes, always open. Will be one of the key players that I'm watching. Obviously, they have Jalen Milroe, flawed guy, but also very talented guy, belongs in NFL in some capacity. I don't know, at quarterback, running back, wide receiver. It's one of those type of people that's extremely athletic. And I do think that they can beat Georgia, and they'll probably have to beat Georgia to, you know, advance far and get favorable conditions into the playoffs. Like, I think they can still lose this game, but make the playoffs, but that means they'll have to beat Tennessee. So it's one of those kind of either or situations. Implications wise, as Bama, you have to be one of these people. So I think DeBoer knows the pressure he's under. He understands what's going to happen. And I will say, in Kirby's defense, you never know who's going to play. You never know who's out on bond, who's out on bail, who's suspended on Georgia. So
Fair enough.
You never know what full strength Georgia looks like. And I think they'll get them this week, barring any other further incarcerations. But those are my thoughts. I think Kalen DeBoer gets it done. Josh, your thoughts?
Yeah, I still think Kalen DeBoer has. I mean, he's got to show it to me in the SEC. I acknowledge Kellen DeBoer is. I think he's 16-3 all time against top 25, and he's 4-1 versus top 10 all time in his career. So, you know, guy's not unfamiliar with playing in big time games, big time matchups. A lot of those outside of the SEC, mind you. So, you know, he's playing against a pissed off Georgia team. I think they feel like a little insulted because they're sitting behind Texas right now. I think Kirby has a good way to motivate people like that. He'll find those Michael Jordan, esque ways of making something personal. They doubt you, dude. You've been ranked number one the entire year. Nobody fucking doubted you. Like that was his whole theme, on their second national championship win, a couple years ago. So I got to give Kirby credit. He has a very unique way to inspire people and get his teams up and ready to play in these big games. So until Kellen DeBoer shows me he can do it at Alabama, like jury's still out for me. So I'm going to go Dogs in a very highly contested matchup. But like you said, Nick Saban ain't walking through there. And I don't think Yellow Hammer or Rammer Jammer is going to be too happy on Saturday night.
Andy, who would you rather play? Georgia or Bama? Like, who do you think Tennessee has a better shot against?
Oh, Alabama.
Okay. Why?
Give me Alabama as a great college football game day host Pat McAfee said. I think, I don't really buy much into I do think that Georgia is more likely to win. I don't buy into the coach's motivational speak as much as perhaps Josh does.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a big rah-rah guy, Andrew.
Yeah, you could tell me you could motivate the 2022 Tennessee team, like give that team Kirby Smart, and flip side give Josh Heupel the team that Kirby had. I don't think the results changes at all, or how motivated that Kirby can make these players. At the end of the day, recruiting there's a reason why recruiting is very important, right? And the transfer portal. What is different about, and Josh mentioned this about SEC, DeBoer, like the thing is, like when he's outside playing on SEC's team, maybe there's that gap in the level of players that he recruits and things like that, right? Like we've seen like quarterbacks like Bo Nix go to big Pac-12 and just tear it up. So yes, but then now he also has the Alabama recruits and the players. Right. So it's not, I don't think it's gonna be, it'll be different if he was coming into SEC stadium with like the non-SEC players, just because like you might be ranked number 15 on the composite recruiting level versus like a top 2 in Georgia and Alabama. So it should be a good game. I mean, like Naveen said, I think DeBoer is a good coach. I still lean Kirby Smart, just like give me the proven experience, experienced coach. But should be a fun game. I do want to I'd rather play Alabama. Fortunately for Tennessee, we play both. That's the curse of being in the SEC, I guess. As Oklahoma fans would say, oh, what is our schedule? And we can just look at that and say, oh, that's every year for us. You play Georgia, Alabama, yeah, that's just another year in the SEC. So we do play them both, but for our sake, I do think that we have a better chance of beating Alabama. Also the home versus away situation there and everything. And for that reason, I kind of want Bama to win, just so that that's for my personal, I guess, selfish reasons. I think if Bama beats Georgia, Bama goes to number one. And then, assuming everything else plays out, by chalk, by the time we get to Rocky Top in October, that should be the night game. Because ESPN has the rights and they want to put the better perceived game as their primetime game. But I think if Georgia wins, then Georgia versus Texas is going to be the number one versus number two, and they're going to get the night game, and we'll be pushed to the 3 p.m. slot, which is fine. But I'd rather be at the night game versus Bama than the 3 p.m.
Yeah, I think that gives all the folks in Maynardville and Knoxville and Loudoun County to get all liquored up and be loud.
Yeah.
But I'll also say I amplified Kalen DeBoer's stats against top 25 and top 10. But there is an outlier to those stats. Kalen DeBoer has never played an SEC opponent as a head coach. So that technically he played an SEC opponent, but at the time when they were in the Big 12, and that was Texas. So he took care of business against Texas, but they weren't in the SEC at the time. So a little bit different playing Georgia, and not like SC when you're at UCLA or San Diego State. So a little bit different. We'll see how it all shakes out. We're playing Oregon when Bo Nix is cheeks. But anyway,
Texas is comparable, right? Like Texas was a good team last year.
Sure. Yeah. I
mean, Sark sort of brought that SEC recruiting sauce and the connections and the players. And but anyways, yeah, should be a good game. It'll be good. It's good that we don't have to sacrifice watching like a Tennessee play to watch.
Yeah, I'm for it, man.
Yeah.
I'm still watch the shit out of this game.
Yeah, it's like a meme. It's like fight, and
I'm gonna watch the shit out of this game. That's right. I like that.
It's scouting.
28-24 Bama. What are your score predictions?
Oh man, yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it'll be something like 30-24 Georgia.
Andy?
I haven't thought about it yet. I want to say Georgia wins by
put them on the spot.
Like some weird shit happens with like a missed kick or like a 2-point conversion failure or some bullshit, and I want to say Georgia wins.
Bama covers. Does Bama cover?
I don't know what the spread is now. I know it was.
I think it's 2.5.
Yeah. 2.5. So that means Bama covers. Okay, I like that. All right. Bama covers.
All right. You heard it here first. I think that's pretty interesting wrap up of that topic. Let's get into a little bit of the winners and losers from last week. I think the notable one that we saw and most of us were wrong about was USC and Michigan. Roman, unfortunately, not on the podcast today. He was going to shit on us quite hard for our leans on USC. So that was a surprising one. USC, I guess, was trailing most of the game.
It's the road, man. It's that big long trip from California to Michigan, man.
Yep, that Big Ten schedule, traveling all across the country to play these games. They eventually did go up, but they lost it on the last drive where they literally ran it down fucking USC's throat. Pretty impressive drive. Anybody that likes the run game, watch that last drive. It was all runs straight to the face. So pretty interesting game there. I think Mish was the big winner of last week. Did anybody else have any other winners or losers? I think for me, myself, I thought Kansas State. I actually didn't have this on my podcast picks, but BYU fucking smoked Kansas State. They were a 6-point dog and they won by 20 plus. So I thought that was a pretty interesting game. This is for your degenerates that like to bet at 11 p.m. like me. But anything else stick out for you guys?
I mean,
James
yeah,
Madison.
James Madison. I was about to say that. I mean, they made
They made
the coach quit and then unquit like within like 3 hours.
Yeah, so I thought they were
Background.
just kind of splashed in the national scene, beating a P4 team. So I thought that was good. Illinois,
Oh, man,
another
you
big
stole
winner.
mine. You stole mine.
I thought Nebraska kind
They
of
had a
reminds me.
one. Nebraska had a one, man.
Nebraska kind of reminds me of Tennessee 2016. There's talent there. It's a program from the 90s that's looking for its glory, but it kind of looked like Tennessee versus Florida there at the end. Just collapsing, just Nebraska doing its own thing. I've heard Nebraska is scoreless in 7 straight overtimes or some shit like that, and that is just incredible amount of choking.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it just couldn't get it done. And then I would say Clemson was I think just beating the shit out of NC State. They kind of, showed that Miami is not the only one that's gonna run the table. That Clemson can still, for the ACC at least, right? Because losing to Georgia doesn't really mean you're a bad team, right? Like the gap between the top 3 to 5 team versus the rest of the country is so huge that you could. And I have no doubt that Georgia would also smoke Miami too. So I think Clemson, big winner, this week. Just kind of like proving that they belong in that conversation of who can make the playoffs from the ACC. I don't think they're better than Miami yet, but just kind of like everybody thought they were dog shit because they got dragged across the face by Georgia.
Okay. We'll get into a little bit of the records for this week. I had one of my worst weekends ever in terms of podcast picks. I went 1-7. Kind of felt like Roman out there making these picks. 1-7. Holy shit, guys. 15%. So fading me, you would have went 85% last week on my
Incredible
podcast picks. Got to be better. Hope to improve. So I'll also cover Roman's week. Roman went 4-7, but he actually picked 2 money line dogs. So he actually, if you think about it, he was even when you look at the math of what he did.
Right.
So he got Illinois right money line plus 275, Michigan ML
plus 200,
right, plus 200. He got Kansas's over. He got South Carolina full game. He lost on Ohio State first half, Iowa State, Penn State first half, ASU, Cal, BC, South Carolina first half. A bunch of teams that he lost on, but in reality, that's the reality of betting, right? Like if you hit 2 plus 200s or plus 275s, like you can go 4-7, still be even. So that's a weird thing. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Andy, why don't you take us through about what you did? Looks like you went 6-2-1.
Yeah, 6-2-1. So pretty good week. I mostly went for dogs this week.
Orange teams.
Yeah.
Except Orange Crush parlay, man.
Orange Crush. Except for the only favorites I really picked, genuinely was Tennessee, Syracuse, Clemson, and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else underdogs. So again, like it's some weeks you do well, some weeks you don't. Oklahoma State, had they covered, my Orange Crush parlay could have gotten us like a $8,000 ticket, so that would have been pretty fun. Just turning like $50 into that, but that's how she goes. Just looking at this week, I'm gonna try to make a again like an odd number of picks, so that way I don't ever end up like a 50-50 on the week. So that's kind of like what I tried to do last week. it's making 9 picks, but ended up going 6-2-1. So that's pretty, pretty good week, for picks wise.
New leader in the clubhouse. 73%.
Yeah, 73%. There's a new sheriff in town, so let's see.
Josh, take us through what happened to you.
We can skip. It wasn't good.
It wasn't too bad either, right? 2 and 3.
Yeah.
That's not nothing to really learn from that. USC, obviously, everybody lost there. USF, I also had it. We were crushing the first half.
We were, man. We should have just went the first half on it, and then
we were crushing Miami.
Yeah.
And I think honestly we would have won that game. Obviously, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But man, we were fucking covering the shit out of 17. So
sure was.
I won't.
And then disaster struck.
It counts as a loss in the records, but I see where you were there. Moral victory that we were almost right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, we lost there, but you did win Tennessee and Ole Miss.
Hotty toddy, baby.
Chase lost.
Of course he did. He don't know ball.
He don't know
Chase
ball.
did pretty well, 3-2.
3-2.
Sitting at 63%.
Yep. Chase now beating me, 63%. I am under 500 now, so I got to do some work this weekend, guys.
I think, Josh, give us some sound effect. I think this is time for Naveen to make an apology. I feel like last time Naveen made an apology officially, we started crushing. So, hey.
All right, man. Well, let's see. Let's see what we got here.
Can't really hear that, Josh, but I'll quote my man, Tim Tebow. I promise you one thing. A lot of good will come out of this. I just want to say one thing to the fucking fans and subscribers of Lucky Top. Lucky Top Nation, I'm sorry. Extremely sorry. I promise you one thing. A lot of good thing will come out of this. I'm going over 500 this week. That's a guarantee. Now we can use the G word. Guarantee is alive for us. So that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee and a promise for the listeners.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here. That's right.
So speaking of the over 500 picks, why don't we dive right into it, Naveen?
Okay, so I'm going with Miami minus 19.5 versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is really bad. Miami, I'm surprised this is not a 29.5.
Didn't Virginia Tech lose to Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So 19.5. I think that should be a lock. BYU plus 3.5. They are playing
Baylor.
They're playing Baylor. Baylor got shocking loss to Colorado last week. I don't really understand why Baylor is favored here. Give me BYU plus 3.5. I might even add money line in there. Navy minus 3.5. I faded them last week. Did not expect the kind of offensive explosion that they had versus Memphis, and I'm going to keep that train going. Oklahoma minus 2.5. I think that what I saw from them last week versus Tennessee is they really fight on defense. They do a very good job on defense. Brent Venables is defensive, I guess. Somewhat of a mastermind there. Auburn is in fucking shambles. I don't know what's going on with Auburn. That's probably the one team that during our schedule research we were the most off on. Auburn is fucking trash right now.
They are. They really are.
Cannot back Auburn. Texas minus 30.
On that topic though, real quick, Michael Hawkins Jr. Not for nothing, man. He came in 11 for 18, 132. He's not going to be some scrub. I think he's going to do really well for Oklahoma. He's going to give him a little spark on offense.
Yeah. Yes. To add to that, I took a screenshot of this because obviously we were at the game, so we didn't realize how it looked. But when I was watching the highlights, they showed this stat. So Oklahoma first half drive chart: downs, punt, interception, field goal, punt, fumble, safety, punt, fumble, punt. That's with Jackson Arnold. And then obviously once Hawkins got in there, they started showing some signs of life, even getting a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, and you can't. I would caution people to not put a whole lot of weight in that because you bring in Michael Hawkins, completely different quarterback, so you didn't really get the scheme. You didn't have a lot of film on him. You don't know what you're facing there. But again, to your point, he does, I think, give the Oklahoma offense a spark and is a much more dynamic player with more skill set than I think Jackson Arnold does.
Yeah, just afraid to throw and afraid to getting hit.
I mean, the man almost ended his life. I mean, did you see the way he scorpion flipped into the air trying to get that touchdown?
That was crazy. And I also thought that was a touchdown.
Yeah, he laid it on the line. He definitely laid it on. He was down at the.
That was some SEC cooking there. That's for
right.
sure.
That's right.
Just 3 more picks. I talked about it before. Bama plus 2.5. I'm sticking with my guns there. Official pick. Texas minus 39.5. Only team in the SEC with 2 Heisman contenders at QB, Quinn Ewers and Arch. Arch is a specimen. He's as impressive as Nico is. Arch is just as impressive. Like
chill.
I'll put it out there. I think it's pretty good. And then ending it, I got Oregon minus 25.5.
He ain't played nobody, Naveen.
He didn't
play nobody.
Yeah, that is true. We'll see how it goes against Georgia. Who's gonna play? We don't know.
Cheeks against Georgia. Cheeks.
But yep, those are my picks. Andy, why don't you talk about your picks?
All right, so this week I got 5 picks for you guys. I'm hoping I go minimum 60% here, 3 and 2, but who knows? Maybe we'll flip them. So starting with Army minus 13 versus Temple, Oklahoma minus 2.5. Also, I guess this is the same side as Naveen. Boise State. I think Boise State is gonna be one of the top sort of the teams that's gonna run the table. I mean, I know they lost to Oregon, but look very impressive. I think this is an easy cover here. And then I think Nebraska just kind of like it's like a perception thing, I guess, because last week I faded Nebraska, but why am I on Nebraska this week? But I do think that Nebraska bounces back strong here, and they're like minus 10 versus Purdue. I mean, Purdue, Notre Dame just ran all over Purdue too. Like, let's not forget. So, and I don't really think like Notre Dame is like leaps and bounds, better than Nebraska. And then finally, Stanford playing Clemson. So again, like I am fading my, pick my winner from last week. Pretty crazy, I know, after Clemson ran all over NC State. But again, like I think the 22 here. This is just a pure speculation / like a public fade play. I expect that Pup's gonna jump all over Clemson. The line, you would think this is gonna be like a minus 20, 27 to 29, even like nearing like over 30, like the Texas and Oregon lines. But just the fact that it's sitting right around 3 touchdown marks, tells me that Vegas wants to lay a big trap, similar to the Nebraska Illinois pick last week. So I'm gonna follow the line and pick Stanford here. So those are my 5 picks. Josh?
Yeah, Stanford also backing you up. Andy has one of the best records as a dog, and they have a lot of very high double-digit dog wins in their book. So
started all the way from Harbaugh days.
Yeah, literally smart money.
Yeah.
So Josh, give me your picks, man.
Yeah, man. So I think Illinois is going to ride some of that momentum they picked up last week. So Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini is going to go to College Station, play Penn State. Yeah, it's a plus 17.5 there. So I think it's going to be a little bit closer game than we think. Penn State might, win the game, but I think Illinois covers. I know I've been fading Penn State all year, and they've been making me pay. So we'll figure this out. I'm going to catch them on this week, I think.
Josh has personal beef against James Franklin. For
I
some
fucking
reason.
hate James Franklin. I hate that guy. Georgia, give me Georgia covering -2.5. They're going to beat Alabama, I think, kind of decisively. So moving on to, let's see, Texas, Mississippi State. Give me Texas -38.5. It's a home game for Archibald. I know you guys are really high on him. I know I didn't have this earlier when we talked about it, but give me Duke -2.5. I think they're gonna beat North Carolina because it's an absolute fucking train wreck there in Chapel Hill. With their coach quitting, I'm sure morale is high in the locker room. And I'm sure the Tar Heels will be so fired up. You could play the Blue Devils. Give me Louisville +6.5 because we all know that Notre Dame's frauds. Notre Dame, I don't even know why they're ranked. James Madison -20.5. I know I'm throwing some curveballs at you here, Naveen. And then Ole Miss to cover -17.5.
Okay.
At home versus Kentucky.
So say it again. And you said JMU?
JMU. Yep.
Okay. JMU and Notre Dame? Or no, Notre Dame.
No. James Madison is at, or excuse me, Ball State is at James Madison, and it's a 20.5 point spread.
Okay.
If James Madison can hang 70 in North Carolina, Ball State ain't coming in there without at least a 30-point beatdown. So give me JMU.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, let's continue getting wins. Maybe Roman will provide some wins. And I think I'm going to change it up this week. I'm going to post our picks on Twitter, just so it's a little bit easier for you to follow and see on game day.
Follow the leader, guys. Follow the leader.
Yeah. But check this out, guys. Here's the thing, and Naveen's going to post those to Twitter, post them to Instagram. But here's the thing. If you guys win, we want to know. All right. So hit us in the DMs. If you hit off of some of our betting advice, please let us know. That's kind of why we're doing this. It's good. We talk about morale. We want morale high on the show. So if we know we're helping our loyal listeners, or maybe our fellow Vol brethren or college football brethren, we like to know. So
also the converse. If you think our picks are shit and we're square as fuck, fade us and let us know. Oh my God, this Texas pick is one of the worst I've seen. I can't believe Andy's taking Stanford. I want to know all this stuff because this is the stuff that you might see in a group chat, but we want to see it on Twitter. We want to see it on YouTube. Interact with us, and we'll have a good time. And if you're right, we will display you being right on our next show. We will give you all the credit that needs to happen either way. And we'll sing your praises if it happens. So I wanted to kind of wrap the show with some NFL. I know, football doesn't only happen on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It happens a lot on Sunday as well. Mondays now.
Thursday.
Fridays, Thursdays. It happens all over
almost
the place.
Every day.
All over the world, all over the place. I just wanted to use this time to really talk.
Here we go.
About people who doubted Vikings. Vikings 3-0. Can't you guys believe it? Fucking smack Giants, smack Niners. DJ Stroud's coming to town. Oh shit. Nope. 25-point victory. I think Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, and Sam Darnold they're swinging dicks right now. So another Minnesota team performing well, smoking everybody. I think they're the biggest I guess unexpected winner of NFL season. Do you guys have any other big winners or big disappointments that you're seeing so far?
Oh man, I got a big disappointment. The Tennessee Terribles. We're led by Will Levis as our quarterback. Former.
But is that a big disappointment or is it expectation?
Yeah, no, it's a big disappointment, man. Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel. They left Callahan an absolute disaster on their hands. I mean, you got fucking Malik Willis just coming in with Green Bay. Malik Willis also, draft pick by the Titans. I think 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we picked up Will Levis last year. And we got rid of Malik. He came in and beat us this week. So Tennessee Terribles, very, very disappointing. I'll also say, on brand, not very disappointing, but on brand, meeting expectations is the Dallas Cowboys. Consistently being the laughing stock of the NFL. Hey, shout out to Derrick Henry, former Tennessee Titan, beloved in the Tennessee area. Put up big numbers for the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are still one of my favorite teams in the AFC moving forward for the remainder of the year. I think we've seen some things kind of click now that we're getting into like the formalities into the season. Everybody's kind of getting their legs, their sea legs, so to speak, underneath them. And we're starting to see some things kind of shake out. Biggest just choke job, Atlanta. How the fuck are you going to run the ball? To the outside.
That's my issue.
Like you had a million other options that would have been more plausible than that play call. I know you don't want to get behind your boy Kirk Cousins because of the Achilles issue. I understand that just from a coaching perspective. But man, like put somebody else under center. Anybody else. Do the tush push, whatever you got to do.
Play action, something. Let him throw.
Anything except that play call. It was predictable and it was bad. Falcons do better. Jacksonville getting absolutely shellacked last night. Even though my Titans are ass, so are the Jacksonville Jaguars. The entire AFC South just needs to burn down. It's not good football. That's my rapid fire on the NFL. God save me. I'm a Titans fan.
Andy?
I saw this little interesting thing that I think Josh would appreciate. Trevor Lawrence is 0-8 in his last 8 starts. So clearly, he's going to be under a lot of heat. Peterson's going to be, on a hot seat soon. Can't just continue to have losing streaks like that.
Bring back Urban.
I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Tebow.
My big disappointment would be the Bengals. I don't think.
Jamar Chase, he's checked out, man.
Yeah, like I don't think they saw themselves, getting, nowhere versus Redskins, and sit here 0-3, and going into the rejuvenated, Andy Dalton, revived Panthers. Like, imagine if they lose that game too, like, and go 0-4. Somebody's getting fired. So, I think the Bengals are definitely on a hot seat. I would say outside of that, Seahawks. Shout out to Seahawks. I think they've done a good job. Their season over under total was like 8, I think, preseason. So like they've started out. I mean, it took an OT versus New England, so it wasn't always like a dominating fashion. Matter of fact, they've not covered any games. They're going 3-0 on the W column, but not covering. So 0-3. Yes. Oh, they did. Okay. Yeah. So I stand corrected there. But again, like, hey, like at the end of the day, if you're just winning, barely winning, whatever, winning in OT, wins a win. So, I think they're sitting, pretty good, especially now that the 49ers, without McCaffrey, isn't looking so mighty. So, there's probably a good chance for them. So that would be my, I guess, like the big winners and big losers. Oh, and I guess I don't know if calling like the Bills would be like a big winner, because it's just because I feel like they've been favored in each of their games and all that. But they
did win big. They did win big though.
Right. But then I don't know if looking at a 3-0 Bills and saying, hey, like, that's a big surprise or big winners so far, because they were,
to quote you, Josh, they ain't play nobody.
Yeah, they ain't playing nobody, and they're playing Ravens. So we'll see if they're real or if they're fake.
Fair enough, but To your Bengals point, man, lesbian Joe Burrow, man, he's been ass ever since he got that look going on. So
Dude, they needed
maybe do something about the frosted tips. I saw the lesbian Joe Burrow meme going around. It was pretty wild. But yeah, frosted tips. Ever since he switched to that, it's not been a good look.
They needed that 2022 hypo film on how to beat Jaden Daniels, man. Holy shit,
man! I don't know.
He looked like the greatest QB
of all time.
Seriously.
Yeah. Like
they haven't
you wouldn't have known he was a rookie.
They haven't punted in 2 weeks. All they do is score. It's pretty incredible. And you're right. He doesn't look like a rookie at all.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't think Jaden Daniels was going to be a good quarterback. So
yeah, that'd be me. I said it. I thought he was going to be ass. Name me a Heisman Trophy winner over the last, let's say last 10 years that's panned out in the NFL.
Lesbian quarterback over in
no, hetero Joe is good. Hetero Joe.
Panned out. I mean, hey, he went to the Super Bowl.
Outside of his rookie year, what has he done?
Just get injured.
Exactly. So
yeah, but injury is not I mean, like sure,
availability is the greatest. That's more of an
ability, but at the same time, it's not like he he didn't pan out like a Jamarcus Russell style.
Yeah, but I would argue that it was a bigger Titans collapse than it was a Bengals. Joe Burrow taking them to the Super Bowl thing. I think it was more of Ryan Tannehill crap in his pants.
Titans always collapse, right?
Number 1 overall seed, bye week, hosting, and then Macaulay Culkin, Joe Burrow comes in there as a rookie and slings it all over the place.
Yep.
But also Ryan Tannehill turned the ball over 3 times. So we won't go down memory lane. Derrick Henry was first game back off a knee injury. A lot of things played into that. Not making excuses for the Titans. I'm just saying I think 2021 Bengals was an aberration.
Yeah, I mean, if not for Joe Burrow throwing for nearly 400 yards, I don't think they beat the Titans. So that's probably. But anyways, Joe Burrow. So I guess
I said he slung it everywhere.
Yeah, and so he's a both right now the biggest loser, but also I guess in that column of Heisman winners that panned out. Also Lamar Jackson, right? Like Lamar's a Heisman winner, and he's doing pretty well in the NFL. Won a couple MVPs, right?
Yeah.
Baker's having a little resurgence, although I wouldn't call it like a great career so far as a number 1 pick. So we'll see.
Yeah. So we touched a lot of stuff. We recapped Andy and Josh's trip to Tennessee. We went to Bama and we discussed the Georgia game coming up. We recapped week 4 biggest losers and winners. And we gave our best bets and talked a little NFL. So really covered it all this week. I gave you the promise, guys. My picks at least are gonna go above 500. I don't know about the rest of the guys, but for me, yes, that's gonna happen. Don't forget to interact with us, like, subscribe. We'll be posting.
Leave us a comment. Anybody say you're trash. I don't care. Whatever you got to do. Just comment.
Any publicity, good publicity. Just let us know how you think. What can we do better? And what do you want to hear from us going forward? It's been a great week to be a Vol.
GBO, baby.
GBO.